Newsfirst, NEWSLINE with Faraz Shauketaly.
And a very good evening to you. This is NEWSLINE Live, and we're broadcasting from the Newsfirst studios in Dorset Street in Colombo. And this evening, following up on further developments and debate on a matter that is appears to have captured the imagination of all of Sri Lanka, the proposed changes to the constitution via the 20th Amendment. To discuss that a little bit in greater detail and to see why it is that the matter is so apparently contentious. We've got with us here the Propaganda Secretary of the JVP, Mr. Vijita Herat. Very good evening to you, Mr.
Yes,
Vijita.
good evening.
Mr. Herat, straight away, why is it that, why is the 20th Amendment causing so much of concern to the members of the public, to civil society, and so on? Why is it? What's so odd about it?
Actually, it is a great threat to the democracy in our country. It's a big threat to our democracy. The people's mandate, if we consider the people's mandate, it is not abolishing the 19th Amendment. People did not say to the President, abolish the 19th Amendment. They had their option, but it was not an abolishing of the 19th Amendment. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa wants to create another dictatorship government in our country, like Jaya Jawarna regime. That is the main target. We think it is very harmful to our democracy, and it will be very harmful to our economy also, because Jaya Jawarna brought it to change the economic system in our country. And likewise, Gotabaya Rajapaksa also wants to use 20th Amendment and new constitution to rule the country like a dictator. That is the main target.
The words that they use is that they want, that they seek strong government.
Though they have said that they want to the strong government, that is not the main target of the 20th Amendment.
What is the main target?
They have now 2/3 majority.
Right.
They have the strong government.
Yeah.
The government has a executive president and 2/3 government.
In parliament.
It is strong,
right,
and stable. Why they need to change the constitution?
So what is the real purpose?
Real purpose, the one-man show. He wants to behave like the Hitler or like Idi Amin. That is the main target. Normally, even a school child can understand it.
But is there an argument to say that since independence we've had so many governments and so on, but with all the democratic ideals and accountabilities and so on, actually Sri Lanka has had great difficulty in growing economically. We are far from an Asian tiger economy. Everybody else has overtaken us, and therefore there is one school of thought to say that we need a benevolent dictator.
We cannot say those governments were people's friendly governments. At that time, the British Queen ruled our country. Actually, it was a colonial system until 1970. After became Sirimao Bandaranaike as a prime minister,
Yeah.
she changed the constitution, but she also behaved like a dictator. We had a past experience. She used the constitution to build the dictatorship government. That's why she has extended her period from 1975 to 1977. It was also a big mistake.
Yeah.
And after that decision, we face so many difficulties as citizens. And not only that, all those governments ruled our country without democracy.
But is it fair to say that in her case, she was elected with a two-thirds majority?
Yes.
Then when you compare that again with President Jayawardena, the same thing, elected with more than a two-thirds majority.
Yeah.
But when you consider Mahinda Rajapaksa's term, the people didn't give them a two-third majority, but they used a quirk in the law, thanks to the various cases that were filed, and thanks to the Supreme Court under Nanda Sena Silva, making a ruling that it's okay to cross over even if you're elected from another party, as long as you were going to serve as a minister or serve for the president. And that was the start of the rot.
Yes, just after the 2010 election, the presidential election, he also tried to form a dictatorship leadership, and he and his government gave more beneficiaries to opposition members, and after that they crossed over and joined with the government with some high-level portfolios. And after this, what has happened? Just after the election, Mahinda Rajapaksa as a president, he and his government brought the 18th Amendment as an urgent bill. It is not a normal bill. Actually, he brought the 18th Amendment as an urgent bill. Then normal people cannot go before the court, cannot challenge that bill, because there is no time period. Within 24 hours, it will be finished. Because of that reason, people cannot challenge it, and people cannot have an argument about that, and there is no any people's awareness program. Without awareness program, he brought that 18th Amendment to the Parliament, and even some ministers and some members of Parliament, the government ministers, government members of Parliament didn't know what was the content of 18th Amendment, but they supported it. They voted on behalf of 18th Amendment.
Everybody voted for that.
Yeah, everybody. That's correct. Government side.
Yeah.
And at that time, Mahinda Rajapaksa had 161 seats, more than two-third majority. Two-third means 150, but he obtained 161 votes for the 18th Amendment. But after passing the 18th Amendment, Mahinda Rajapaksa also tried to use the constitution to behave like another dictator in our country. Within 4-5 years, that governments became the most corrupted family ruling in our country. In 1970, Sirima Bandaranaike, at the very beginning, she was good, but at the end of the government, she was very bad. Jayawardena's period, at the very beginning, it is okay, it's a Dharmista Palanaya, it's okay, but at the end of the government, it's very worst. Likewise, at the very beginning of the Mahinda Rajapaksa regime, 2010, just after the war, the people voted for him, and he got more than two-thirds majority in the parliament. But at the end of that period, it was very worst. Likewise, we can assume in this period, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa period, now it is okay. People think it's okay, Gotabaya Rajapaksa as a president will do many things on behalf of the people, and 20th Amendment, it is not a big problem to them. They think now it is not a big problem, but we can forecast within 2-3 years people will understand the worst amendment of the constitution. It is not a bad amendment, it is a very worst amendment. Why we say about that? The first thing is the president can appoint the main key government characters. Even he can appoint the Chief Justice and all judges of the Supreme Court and all judges of the Appeal Court. And he can remove also. And then he can appoint the IGP and all other key level persons without considering other person. There is a alternative that is called Parliamentary Council. But who are them? The Prime Minister, Speaker and Opposition Leader, and another 2 members. They also will be appointed by the Prime Minister and the President. It is a rubber seal. It is not a independent body. But the Constitutional Council is an independent body. I am not saying that it is a totally independent, but actually 75% it is independent.
But the Constitutional Council was supposed to be made up of 7 members of the public or independents and 3 politicians. But as it turned out, it was the other way around. There were 7 politicians and 3 independents.
Actually, at the very beginning of 19th Amendment, we proposed majority of that members of the Constitutional Council must be independent persons, intellectuals. But the opposition at that time, Dinesh Gunawardena and other SLFP members opposed that.
Right.
Even Vasudeva Nayaka also opposed that. Then after that opposing, the Parliament cannot do anything, because without their support we cannot pass the 19th Amendment in the Parliament, because at that time they were the majority in the Parliament.
Yes. Let's come back. We'll just go for a break and come back and you can explain that bit first. Don't go away. After all, this is Newsline Live and we're having a serious discussion with Mr. Vijita Herat about the impact of the 20th Amendment on freedom and on society in general.
Newsfirst, Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
I'm different to you. I'm doing a 100% Middlesex University Bridge degree with no compromise in Sri Lanka. How about you? Call 071115 1234 to enroll now.
Protest in Matale opposing a move by the police to block an entrance road to a school. Farmer in Laggala commences protest atop a tree, urging authorities to provide fertilizer. 750 million rupees scam at the Gampaha district Sanasa Bank. Depositors hold demonstration opposite Presidential Secretariat. Will the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress jump ship in support of the 20th Amendment? Prices of coconut surges past 100 rupees.
මේ තියෙන තත්ත්වයත් එක්ක පොල් බෑයක් තමයි ගෙදරට ගෙනියන්න සිද්ධ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
I'm different to you. I'm doing a 100% Middlesex University Bridge degree with no compromise in Sri Lanka. How about you? Call 07-1115-1234 to enroll now.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shauketaly.
And very good evening again to you. This is Newsline Live, and we're in conversation today with Mr. Vijita Herat, the Propaganda Secretary of the JVP. So, Mr. Vijita, is there nothing that can be done?
People has given 2/3 majority to the government,
Yeah.
and they can use it easily. People can go before the court and they can challenge it. They need a referendum, but we think most probably court will, I don't know what will be the decision,
Yeah.
but the Supreme Court only consider is there any clause different from the Constitution, the 1978
Whether
Constitution.
the Constitution is being impacted by the proposed amendment.
That's right.
That's all they're looking at.
That's only. They will consider that part only.
Right.
Therefore, we think most probably there will be not need a referendum. Then the government can pass it easily. Then what we can do?
But Mr. Vijita, now soon after President Gotabaya was elected, he went to India. He said that India would be India first. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa said, well, we're friends with China, so we'll be dealing with China too. Then comes the MCC. There's no clear message to say, yes, we are taking it, no, we are not taking it. It's just like a yo-yo. But the MCC is American. So citizen Sri Lanka is looking at this and thinking, one's giving it to the Americans, one's giving it to the Indians, the other's giving it to the Chinese. Who is going to talk for Sri Lanka? Number one, Sri Lanka. Who's going to talk about Sri Lanka?
We cannot say Sri Lanka first.
Yeah, we can't.
How can we say Sri Lanka first? Because the Prime Minister say another thing and President say another thing, and they are doing different things. Before the election, presidential election, they said that they will totally throw away the MCC agreement.
Yeah.
They said that they will throw into the dustbin. But after the election, the President has appointed a professionals committee for that, and the committee has given a full report to the President and the government. And if we analyze that report, actually the MCC agreement will harmful to our country. Therefore, the people's attitude is the signing of the MCC agreement is dangerous to our country. It's a pro-USA agreement, and USA can do anything after signing that agreement, because we had so many examples in various countries. Most recent example was happened in Nepal.
Yeah.
Just after signing that MCC agreement, the USA has signed 16 defense agreements with Nepal.
Yeah.
Therefore, surely we have to do everything on behalf of USA consent. But Prime Minister say China is okay, and sometimes he say India is okay, but people have a problem. It is a dilemma. Who can we believe? But if we analyze it politically, we can say directly this government is not anti-USA government.
Right.
This government is pro-USA government.
Yeah.
President's behavior and the government behavior is actually is a pro-USA activities are there.
And what about China then?
They try to obtain more loans from China. There are so many Chinese projects in our country, and some politicians have another idea. If they give a chance to start the Chinese project, some politicians think they can have some advantage.
What, financial advantage?
Yes, there are so many
It's all
instances.
corruption.
Actually, we had so many experiences in the past. I think it will be happen in future also.
But
It is not the fault of China. It is
No,
the
no.
fault of Sri Lankan politicians.
or is it the fault of the Sri Lankan people?
Yeah.
Because it's the people who keep voting these people in
That's great.
in such big numbers.
Actually, the people must think about that. People voted for them. People voted the most corrupted politicians, but they can use that mandate for their future corruption activities. They can say, people have voted us. We have power. Now they need more power. They had power, but they need more power. Why?
Exactly, why? Why do
One reason behind that, the financial benefits and more beneficiaries.
How much of money does one need?
Actually, we cannot say what is the amount.
Yeah.
It is
But sometimes they're being rather cheap. The reason I say that is the money we can get or supposed to get from the MCC is $480 million. Sorry, but our group is worth more than that. This group is worth more than that. So, can you understand where I'm coming from? Our group is worth more than that 480 million, and they're proposing to give, or almost give, we don't know, for 480 million. But nobody is man enough to talk about Sri Lanka first. And it's all about the money.
so they can say Sri Lanka first, but actually it is not correct. We know, practically we know very well, most of politicians wants to earn more money
Yeah. But
using their power.
if we ask the people who have no houses in, let's say, in Kalawan, Chikudi, in Batiklo area, if we ask them, are we Sri Lanka first? They may start laughing. If we ask the people who have no running water, is Sri Lanka first? They'll start laughing. Actually, these people, Sri Lanka has been forgotten by the pursuit of power and the pursuit of, as you said just now, the financial benefit. Is there no shame? How do our diplomats around the world, in the democratic world, how can they explain to those governments that Sri Lanka is a full, robust, democratic member?
As far as concerned, the internal image in the international level, it is not so good. That's why so many foreign investors do not come to Sri Lanka. They know very well Sri Lanka is most corrupted country. Our politicians are more corrupted. Therefore, they don't like to come to Sri Lanka. They like to go to Vietnam and some other countries. It will affect to our economy also. As a country, we need more investments, foreign investments, and domestic investments also. If we go to the domestic investments, it is a famous truth All businessmen knows very well about that. If they go to sign an agreement with BOI or some other government institution, they need to spend more money underhand. Otherwise, they cannot obtain their license or their permission to start.
The future is looking very sad then.
It is very sad. It is very sad. But it is a famous truth. People also know it, but without considering that part, they are voting again and again to that most corrupted politicians. That is the unfortunate situation in our country.
Vijay Hayat, thank you very much for being on Newsline Live. And sadly, that's the end of our time, even though we started 4 minutes late. Take care, have a great evening ahead of you, and of course, God bless.
Thank you.